Thank you very much for joining us for the midday news. Let's take a look at the stories making the headlines. PF alleges that 3 of its senior members have been targeted for arrests this week. Mutendere compound in a water crisis. In international news, climate activists protest in Paris demanding end of financing of fossil fuels. And in sports news, government determined to tap talent in all parts of the country. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
With the news in detail, my name is Makokwa Kozi. A land wrangle in Lusaka's Linda compound has deepened as another man has emerged, claiming ownership of the farm, which is currently on sale by Noah Kazenene, who claims to be the rightful owner of the land. 50-year-old David Siamayua claims that the documents that were presented by Mr. Kazenene to Camnet News as proof of ownership of the land are all forged, and further called on the state to move in and help resolve the matter. He says many families are being affected by the decision taken by Mr. Kazenene to sell the land, which has been occupied by some families for years.
The overpopulation of Lusaka district has resulted in land becoming one of the most sought-for commodity, which has resulted in land wrangles nearly in all the parts of the province. Saturday, the 17th of June 2023, Camnet television aired a story in which some residents of Linda compound in Lusaka were calling on the office of the president to intervene in a matter in which land they have occupied for many years has allegedly been sold by Noel Kazenene, a resident of the area who they claim has illegal documents to the said land.
Uyu muntu ativuta maningi kuchoka 2003 mwamina nagomorera manyumba. Meni naka 28 years kwa malero ati nichoke niende nizaenda kuti kwa meni nizaenda kutatate watu.
But Mr. Kazenene, when contacted, produced evidence indicating that the land in question is actually his.
Certificate of title is conclusive. Once you have certificate of title, it's conclusive. It is your property. And under Section 34, an action cannot lie against the registered proprietor unless a title holder is mogega in default or a holder is in default.
In a twist of events, David Siamayua, also a resident of Linda compound, has surfaced with documents indicating that part of the farmland number 204A actually belongs to him, and that he paid all the requirements for the said land to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, while claiming that the documents produced by Mr. Kazenene are indeed fake.
This property is legally mine, for I have the documents for the so-called property. My documents are these, and I also pay. I also pay ground rent for the same property of mine. To my surprise is that this man, Mr. Noah Kazenene, had all the audacity of selling a property that does not belong to him.
He has since turned to the highest office of the land to look into the matter, adding that all efforts to resolve the issue with the Zambia police and other relevant wings do not seem to be yielding any results.
The hectares that this diagram has is 34.6014 hectares. Now on his title, this one, they've written 23. Does it corroborate? The answer is no. As if this wasn't enough, he has another title deed with 10 hectares, which also has got the diagram number being 1269 of 76. Honestly, does the Ministry of Lands go on site, survey, and then only give you the survey in 1976 and they only give you the title deed in 1991? The investigation that was done by the Zambia police, where they detected fraud in his, on the titles that he's holding on to and claiming that they're clean. This is the document, a report, cause number 2000/HP/1132. This is the genesis of all the fracas that is there. May I kindly appeal to the new Dawn government that can you kindly come into this issue and bring this case to its logical conclusion.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources was unable to comment on the matter by broadcast time, but what still remains is that the scramble for this piece of land will continue and that the authority needs to urgently look into this matter before things go to worse. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some men in Lusaka's Chibola compound are optimistic that the construction of a new maternity wing and children's ward at Chiembekezo Clinic will ease the burden of their spouses having to travel a long distance to access maternity services. Those spoken to say they have been afraid of having many children due to lack of maternity wing at the only health facility in the area, but say they will now consider having more children. Meanwhile, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Administration, Dr. George Sinyangwe, says regardless of the location, the government will continue to provide quality health services to the people. We have details in the following report.
Dead but not forgotten, Bishop Jacob Piri was the founder of Chiembekezo Clinic, the only health facility in Lusaka's Chibolia compound, one of the most densely populated compounds in the district. The health facility could however not accommodate children and expectant mothers due to its size, but the vision of Bishop Piri to have a health facility that caters for all has been fulfilled after government Wednesday morning launched a new maternity wing and children's ward at Chiembekezo Clinic, which is expected to serve more than 50,000 people. And some men who came to witness the launch of the facility are happy that their spouses have a nearby health facility to run to when expecting, and say they are now contemplating having more children.
So kairi mpepe hapa so na ni muduze ni mkarabe mnoiba so nango bushigwe fumone yavuka ni mpepe hapa ni very easy mwae mwanaka so hapa na tutira sana so tole kwa kanyama transport so hapa ni pane pato mfogweno sana tutira sana hivi walete wa Chiembekezo ndio mfogweno sana bati ya to apusuka no kupusuka nango ninga kwata bana kashi 5 kairi shibatare pochiwe.
Meanwhile, the late Bishop Piri's spouse, Violet Piri, who was present at the launch, says she is happy that her late husband's vision has come to pass through the launch of the Women and Children's Ward at the health facility, which she says will go a long way in saving the lives of the community.
He felt the need to build an extension of the clinic for maternity and children's wing. The PS, 2 years after his death, with the support from our partners such as Tel Aviv from Sweden and some from Australia, helped us to build the maternity wing.
And Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Administration, Dr. George Sinyangwe, who officially opened the facility, says government will continue to take development even in most undesirable places of the country in order to offer a service to the people.
In the case of clinic, we will now be providing labor and delivery services to emphasize. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the key priorities in the design and plan of this clinic was to create a patient-centered environment. The idea was that every individual who walks through these doors feels welcome, cared for, and receives the highest level of medical attention.
And Area Councillor Aaron Mwanza has promised the people of Chibolia compound that roads that lead to the health facility will be worked on to ease the movement of those accessing the facility.
The other challenges that these health facilities may face is road network. You see that you have got the challenges of road network here. But we are announcing that as the Kwadanga constituency, we have secured over 8 million kwacha to purchase hand moving machinery. That will help us to upgrade our loads.
Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Mainasoko Military Hospital Commandant Brigadier General Bernard Kapatamoyo says quality health infrastructure and equipment are vital in order to effectively carry out surgeries on patients like those with brain tumors. Speaking to journalists in Lusaka, Brigadier General Kapatamoyo says Zambia has the capacity to carry out effective brain surgeries, but what is required is enough infrastructure and a conducive environment for health practitioners to conduct their operations. And government, through Information and Media Director Tabo Kawamna, says has held the hospital on its successful brain tumor surgeries, with the latest being that involving Likoji Mihova, the daughter of former Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General Paul Mihova.
Zambia has continued to demonstrate excellency in the medical fraternity by conducting complex surgeries to save lives, and Mainasoko Medical Center is keen to steer quality health service provision with latest success being a brain operation on Likonji Mihova. The story of Miss Mihova, a 29-year-old female patient, is one that illustrates the point that with the right personnel, equipment, resources, and most of all commitment and collaboration, anything is possible. Complicated brain surgery was conducted by medical professionals led by Dr. Godiwala Tosif, a renowned consultant in neurology, Senior Colonel Dr. Wang So Chao, a skilled neurosurgeon from the 29th Chinese medical team, and Colonel Dr. Greenwell Kunda, among others.
Of the team, and it can go, I think they won't even fit in this room. There were so many people involved in this surgery. And if we continue doing this surgery, or this nature of surgery, I think that we do not even need to go to any other place. Here in Zambia, everything can be done.
During a press conference in Lusaka Thursday, 21st June 2023, Ms. Mihova could not hold the joy of knowing that the surgery was successful.
And it was just amazing for me when I woke up. Like, I was like, oh, I'm alive, you know? So I was like, I'm victorious. So, and then every day after that, I was being asked all these questions like, you know, can you move your hands? Can you walk? Can you talk? And I was like, yes. And I feel like I was talking a bit like, you know, slow because of the medication, maybe. But also, and then my face swelled up. That's the photo that's everywhere. But I don't mind it because I'm here, I'm alive, I can talk, I can walk, I can teach again. The only thing I can't do is go on a roller coaster.
She is, however, just among the many people who have been successfully operated on at the military hospital. And Mainasoko Medical Center Commandant Brigadier General Bernard Kapatamoyo says with more government and cooperating partners' support, the hospital is able to do more to save lives.
The requirements to perform such complex surgery are vast and they're expensive. But government has been in support, and it is our sincere wish that as a military, we take our position in taking the lead in providing medical services to our people in Zambia.
And Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana has hailed the hospital for the job well done and reaffirmed government's resolve to improve healthcare service provision in the country.
Falls in line with the emphasis of His Excellency when he states that what we need in our country is to ensure that we utilize public resources correctly, putting our people first, getting things done at the right price, getting things done properly with proper quality and delivered on time. A young teacher who's talented, she teaches many things from academia to cookery, and she's also a politician like somebody we know, the civil servant. But all that hope was dwindled, threatened with loss of sight, threatened with a future without ability to walk on your own. But today, she's able to make us laugh. She's able to show her scar with pride that this is what this country is able to do. That's a pride that we talk about as Zambians.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Some residents of Lusaka's Mutendere Township have lamented the lack of water supply for over a month caused by some leaking pipes. The residents say despite reporting the matter to the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, nothing has been done. They are appealing to the area member of Parliament, Mike Imposha, and the water utility company to address the challenge. Meanwhile, Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company Marketing and Public Relations Manager Nshamba Muzungu says the company has not received any such reports. He says residents must learn to utilize the toll-free line to report faults.
With 7 years to go in attaining sustainable development goals, one is left to wonder if Zambia is ready for the pursuit. According to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the aim is to safeguard universal access to safe and affordable drinking water, sanitation and hygiene, and ending open defecation by 2030. While this is the case, water leakages are on the rampage in various parts of the country, which in the worst situations leave the occupants without a supply of water. This is the status quo of Lusaka's Mutendere Township, where thousands of liters of water are being lost to the disadvantage of the locals. The residents explain that there has been no water supply in some households for over 3 months due to the leakages.
Then pressure ikasala pangono, then manzi ajaenda futi mapipe aja chikuja futi doti. Chikumwa doti manzi futi amene ya doti. Vazaponya mu vinango bana zaponya mu vinango. Manzi aja futi aenda futi mtu mapipe kuja chikumwa futi madoti. Sometimes bana mesa mvere. Taita ripoti kambili manini batikulibe. Chaka tisira kama yezi angati ya manji yapita hapo. Manzi mnachokera chovira pansi kuchoka.
Ngapa twabauza kuti ati manzi twalema nayo kuchoka yango choka ati manzi alibe direction but so chitapo action ili onsawo mande stizi bauti company ngati kali kusebenza nangu wako ngate kubwera ovala manzi
kubeba wote bese bawami hapa pakutira tina ifo kuno tube ku bwino amenshoko yaba kuno nomba mulandu waba wota
because I manzi yaonongeka more than 2 years day and night. If they say each drop counts, now this is not a drop.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Boniface Chibeka acknowledges the challenge and is calling on the water utility to set up technical departments in the area.
And I believe that water is, I wouldn't say manufactured, is being pumped at a very high cost, but the weight is being wasted in Tendere. It's actually beyond expectations. And the other thing is that I think I would appeal that like either in each ward or each area like in Tendere, we need a site office for Lusaka Water and Sewage, especially the technical department, so that they can be quickly attending to such matters. Because apart from the issue of water, sooner or later, sewer is going to be commissioned, and it's the first time in which in Tendere Township people would have to use flushable toilets. So now there will be that demand to quickly resolve such challenges which arises from the first time usage of sewer. There will be a lot of sewer blockage, the issues of water.
But Lusaka and Sanitation Company Marketing and Public Relations Manager Nshamba Mzungu says residents are hesitant to report faults to the company, which has led to the situation persisting.
Because customers can just call our call center. We now have a call center. So customers should take advantage of the call center to report all complaints so that we can respond to them promptly. I think that was the idea behind coming up with a call center.
Ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all confirms the importance of water and sanitation globally, and the need to safeguard it cannot be overlooked. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has directed Chilubi Area Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube and his Lumezi counterpart Munie Zulu to ensure that former presidential political advisor Kaiza Zulu appears before the court, failure to which they will face the consequences. The court has warned the two lawmakers of strict penalties if they fail to avail the accused before the court in the next sitting. The two lawmakers are sureties of the accused and have pleaded with the court for more time for them to bring him to court. Mr. Zulu is on a bench warrant after he absconded from court 3 times. This is in a matter in which he is accused of failing to surrender a diplomatic passport. Here's a report.
Chilubi Area Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube and Lumezi Area Member of Parliament Munia Zulu risk being punished by the Lusaka Magistrate Court if they fail to ensure that former presidential political advisor Kaiza Zulu appears before court at the next sitting. Lusaka Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya has directed the two lawmakers who are sureties of Mr. Zulu to find the accused and bring him before court. The two lawmakers pleaded with the court this morning, Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023, for more time for them to find the accused and present him before court. Mr. Kaiza Zulu is facing a charge of failing to surrender a diplomatic passport, is on bench warrant for absconding for court session. According to the law, where the accused fails to appear before court, the surety must offer a reasonable explanation to the court. This morning, the two sureties produced a COVID-19 medical test from the lab, which indicates that Mr. Kaiza Zulu tested positive. Magistrate Munyinya has, however, declined the production of the said medical report on ground that it has not been certified by a medical doctor as it came straight from the lab. Mr. Zulu is expected to open his defense. He was recently found with a case to answer. The former political advisor during the PF administration is standing trial on charges bordering on failing to appear before a nearest immigration officer and failing to surrender a diplomatic passport. In the first count, allegations are that Mr. Zulu failed to appear before a nearest immigration officer on the 9th of December 2022. In the second count, the state accuses him of failing to surrender his diplomatic passport when required to do so by the chief passport and citizenship officer upon ceasing being a diplomat on the 20th of December 2019. The matter stands adjourned. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Patriotic Front Acting Media Director Edwin Rifwekelo has predicted that more Patriotic Front officials have been targeted for arrests this week. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Rifwekelo says former Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo is likely to be arrested in connection with the Gasin incidences. Meanwhile, others targeted for arrests are former Defense Minister Geoffrey Walyamwamba and Davis Chama.
Privilege to have information, just like President Hakainde had the information. You don't own people in institutions of governance. So there are people that are extremely not happy. Just like they were not happy when you were in government, they will be able to trade information and be able to tell you what is happening. So we are up to speed in terms of what is going on. Even when our members are arrested, we are aware. Just like, I'm sure you remember that even President Hakainde Hichilema, when he was in office, if you backtrack, you remember days when you hold a press conference and he'll tell you, before information is given, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, OP had already given me information. So I'm up to speed in terms of what is happening. So he had that privilege. So also we are privileged that there are some people who are not happy basically with what is happening. So they'll be able to share information of what is going on. So we are aware that Honorable Kampiongo, there's an undertaking that they want to pick Honorable Kampiongo, and allegations they want to implicate him into the issues of gassing. That's the allegation we have been told you'll be picked for. So it's better Zambians to know that even when it happens, they should know that Camnet told them, I told them, that we are aware of a plot to arrest Kampiongo. We are aware of a plot to arrest our national chairman, Davis Chama. We are aware of a plot to arrest GBM. And I think on GBM we are told these issues to do with the defense contracts and stuff. So whether they have evidence or not, but we are aware that that's a ploy. We are aware of the arrest of Jonas Zimba. Be implicating him for whatever reason. That is up to the police to determine. But the party is aware. So it's nothing. The arrest of Emmanuel Mwamba, the arrest of all these former ministers is nothing. There's more the Zambian people should brace themselves for before 2026. So we are fully aware of that. We are ready as a political party.
On that note, we break for some commercials. We have more news in international sports. Don't go away.
The Ukusefia Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is the Bolonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now in international news, hundreds of climate activists protested in Paris on Wednesday, demanding an end to the financing of fossil fuels as a summit for a new global financial pact begins in the French capital. They are now calling for more meaningful commitments, including a roadmap for what they expect from this year's meeting.
Hundreds of climate activists protested in Paris on Wednesday, demanding an end to the financing of fossil fuels as a summit for a new global financial pact begins in the French capital. They are now calling for more meaningful commitments, including a roadmap for what to expect from this year's meeting of the Group of 20 Major Economies and UN Climate Conference. What makes us angry, and not just on the eve of the summit, is that companies like Total Energies, Exxon and Shell continue to break profit records every year, even though they have known for 50 years about the impact of their activities on the climate and biodiversity. The protests also attracted climate activists from Uganda who are opposing the mega oil project and its pipeline, terming it an environmental hazard.
President Macron, keep it in the ground, stop the East African crude oil pipeline, make polluters pay if we are to have climate justice, end fossil fuel finance. And the last word is from me, from Uganda. We are watching you. Let this be a step you take for people like us, for people from countries like mine.
Heads of state, finance leaders and activists from around the world will converge in Paris to seek ways to overhaul the world's development banks like the International Monetary Fund and World Bank and help them weather a warmer and stormy world.
The conflict in Sudan has forced 500,000 refugees to flee the country, and another 2 million are internally displaced, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees revealed on World Refugee Day. Filippo Grandi, who was in Nairobi, Kenya on the occasion, deplored Tuesday the absence of a political resolution in the conflict. It is a worrying situation because we haven't seen much progress so far, if any, in the negotiations between the two generals who are fighting in the country.
Les deux généraux qui se battent.
We are unfortunately gradually witnessing the destruction of this country. Grandi was speaking a day after donors at the UN conference pledged close to $1.5 billion in aid to Sudan and its neighbors, including Chad and Egypt, that host those fleeing the fighting. Cairo had announced it would introduce entry visa for all Sudanese. There is also an element of insecurity that risks spreading as a result of this situation. My appeal to all the neighboring countries is the following. I understand your security concerns, but please keep your borders open, because these people are really fleeing for their lives. Sudan has been plunged into chaos since April 15th, with the army led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan battling the paramilitary rapid support forces commanded by his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo. The death toll has risen above 2,000, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project's latest figures.
Former Rwandan police officer Fulgence Shema, accused of playing a major role in the 1994 genocide, is seeking asylum in South Africa. Arrested last month in Cape Town, the Rwandan has abandoned his application for bail, his lawyer announced on Tuesday, who added that his client fears for his life if and when he is extradited. The asylum request is likely to delay the legal process in South Africa, where he is currently facing numerous charges linked to his irregular stay in the country. The state prosecutor indicated that South Africa will oppose any future bail application. Until his arrest, the 62-year-old was one of the last fugitives sought for their role in the genocide which killed 800,000 Rwandans.
And now in sports news, Minister of Youth and Sports Elvis Nkandu has disclosed that his ministry is determined to tap talent which responds to the country's developmental agenda. Speaking during a weekly media briefing at the Ministry of Information and Media, Mr. Nkandu says in trying to achieve this on sports, in the country is considered. I'll read that again. Mr. Nkandu says in trying to achieve this, no sport in the country is considered as minor. He has committed to promoting all the sports disciplines so as to ensure talent in all parts of the country is well harnessed. Mr. Nkandu has since disclosed that the ministry will now only be in charge of facilitating for the needs of senior national teams to ensure maximum motivation is given to the players. The minister says previously the senior national team were not well motivated.
We are very, very proud that we do not now look at any sport as a minor one. Every sport is very important for us because you may not know where you can get your medals from. That's why we are saying every sport is important. The president has been at the center of everything. He has also pronounced himself that Elvis, there should never be a minor sport in the country, and that has really motivated a lot of federations, motivated a lot of athletes. There is the more reason why you are seeing now we are winning in every corner. We are receiving medals, and I hope that we may surpass the 310 medals that we had got last year. But it will be difficult because we may not have the Region 5 games where we may take a lot of medals. We had to go to 310 because we had the Region 5 games where we got about 60-70 medals. Now that this year we do not have the Region 5, it will happen next year. Yeah, but we need to make sure that we reach our target even beyond the 310 medals that we got last year. So I think for me that is very important. When we come to football, people should also understand that there is an MOU that we've signed with FAS. This MOU, we are only obligated to support the senior national team. And people now should understand, when we say we've given 100% full support to the Federation of Zambia, this is what we mean. Only the senior national team. But we've even gone beyond our way by supporting the under 20, the under 23, by also supporting the under 20.
The Zambia national women's team will face Ireland at Talat Stadium tonight. Copper Queens midfielder Everine Susan Katongo says that the Ireland friendly will be like a World Cup match. The Copper Queens were camping in Germany to prepare for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup starting on July 20.
This friendly isn't going to be an easy friendly because we are going to play with experienced players, and it will be our first time playing against Ireland. So we have to take this friendly so serious because it's not an easy game. Though it's not part of the World Cup tournament teams we are going to face, but it's more like the preparation for the World Cup. The people we are going to play with are more experienced, again, with the people we are going to meet at the World Cup are the same people we are going to play with. So they are going to give us a hint on how we are going to perform when we go to the World Cup, when the tournament starts, and with the people we are going to meet at the World Cup. Training is going on very well. Everyone is really working hard, and there's much competition because everyone is putting more competition during the training sessions, and we are fine here in Germany. We are cooperating very well with the weather and everything, so everything is fine now. The level of training here is a little bit high because this time around we're working towards perfection. The days are already gone, and all we want is to prepare very well before we go to the World Cup. And I'm sure when we came here, we started our training very well, and even this time around we are still working hard, and we are training very well as a team and as individuals.
On that note, we come to the end of the news, but before we go, I will take another look at the stories that make the headlines. PF alleges that 3 of its senior members have been targeted for arrests this week. Mutendere compound in a water crisis. In international news, climate activists protest in Paris demanding an end to financing of fossil fuels. And in sports news, government determined to tap talent in all parts of the country. But before we go, let's now have a look at the Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 9, and it reads, I pray that your love will overflow more, and that you will keep on growing in knowledge and understanding. That's it. That's all the news could accommodate. But remember that we are now getting into the emerging stories on the Lunchtime Cafe, so keep it on Camnet TV.
The Ukusefya Bangwena Organizing Committee proudly present Legacy on the Greens, a prestigious golf tournament commemorating the 10th anniversary of Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's reign. Join us as we tee off with Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II on the 23rd of June at the exquisite Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka, Zambia, for a day of elegance, camaraderie, and regal competition. Legacy on the Greens, celebrating Mwine Lubemba Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga II's 10th anniversary on the throne. Don't miss this regal affair. Reserve your place today.
Join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel music.
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to
Hallelujah. And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time. It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kid show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamanga, as I get to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you very much. You are still watching Camnet TV, and this now is the Lunchtime Cafe. This is a program that keeps you informed about what is going on around us every Mondays to Thursdays, and it comes your way at 12 hours just after the menus. We get into the Lunchtime Cafe, and this program is segmented in 3 segments. We give you stories that are emerging. We also tell you about stories that are forgotten, stories that happened in the past, and also we give you an opportunity to talk to us and give us your perspective on what you think about what we are discussing on that particular day. Now remember that we are broadcasting to you live on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on Topstar, on GoTV, and on Topstar we are on channel 106. So those are the platforms you can catch us on, but also remember that we are on social media, and on our Facebook page, which is called Camnet TV. We are broadcasting live on that particular social media page, so you can go there and go to the comment section, leave your comment on this particular broadcast. We'll be more than happy to see what you are thinking about on on the topics that we are looking at this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Now today we have a fully packed show, very interesting indeed. On the interview segment, we are going to be talking to Mr. Ben Hazombwa, who is a campaign team leader from the UPND, to discuss issues surrounding governance and, of course, how the UPND government is looking at issues and allegations that are coming, especially those that indicate that they are arresting people, their political opponents. So we are going to be discussing in detail that particular topic when we get to that particular segment. For now, let's quickly take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the emerging stories. Welcome back. This is the Emerging Stories segment, and on this segment we give you stories that we feel will make the cut in our 19 hours, 1930 menus on Camnet TV. And this morning we do have some stories. And the first one comes from the Ministry of Justice, and it says the Minister of Justice, Mlambo Haimbe, has observed that interagency cooperation is key in fighting crime. Now, Mr. Haimbe said this when he officiated at the Interagency Coordinating Framework signing ceremony in Osaka. Let's have a look at this.
The benefits of interagency coordination are numerous and significant, and they include the development and sharing of information, increased capacity to combat crime, and increased response to threats. With the ever-present competing need for resources, interagency collaboration allows the avoidance of duplication of efforts of the agencies involved and pooling of resources to provide a force multiplier. Additionally, interagency cooperation helps to ensure that all agencies and relevant institutions within the coordinated sector are working effectively and in total harmony. If we are to win the fight against illicit financial flows, it will be prudent that the functions independently performed by different institutions be coordinated and properly synchronized. Let me assure you that government is committed to ensuring the full actualization and implementation of this framework. Our commitment is evident in the milestones that have been recorded by the task force, which the learned Director of Public Prosecutions has already alluded to. My statement will be incomplete if I fail to appreciate and recognize the UNODC for all the material and technical support rendered towards the formulation and actualization of this framework. Further, I wish to most sincerely thank our other international partners and donors for supporting this program.
So that is our first story on our Emerging Stories segment. And moving on, the National Olympic Committee of Zambia has announced that it has withdrawn a significant portion of Team Zambia from participating in the second edition of the African Beach Games scheduled for Tunisia from the 23rd to the 30th of June 2023 as agreed with the ministry. Now, NOCZ President Alfred Foloko says the decision was made following failure to secure air tickets for the teams. Now, the teams withdrawn include badminton, beach handball male, and beach volleyball female teams. So that is another developing story that we expect to see in our menus tonight, where the National Olympic Committee of Zambia has withdrawn some members of the team that is participating in the 2023 edition of the Beach Games, African Beach Games that are being held in Tunisia. Now, moving on, Minister of Sports Elvis Nkando says government will treat all sports as equal and that it will endeavor to support all sports disciplines. Now, Mr. Nkando said this ahead of the forthcoming Rugby Africa Women's Sevens 2024 Paris Olympic Games pre-qualifier tournament to be held in Lusaka. He has since assured the Zambia Rugby Union of government's support.
Zambia Rugby Union, you and the president. So Zambia Rugby Union will not be there if you are not there. As I said, so you are part of Zambia Rugby Union, in fact, a major stakeholder. I wish you all the best as you host this important tournament in which 10 countries from the continent will participate. I know you will not just be participating, you will be competing, isn't it? Please let us ensure that we host them according to our usual great hospitality for them to enjoy their stay in the country and come and be. Most importantly, ensure our ladies qualify to the next stage of the Paris 2024 Olympic qualifiers. So now appeal to new athletes, because there are some people who are saying, no, the Zambia national team after qualification were given $5,000. That does not mean that can only be applied to football. If you also qualify, you know what you are waiting. We give you what you deserve. But I think I'll be the first person to announce after you qualify. So I heard someone complaining that no, you are qualified as voting, but nothing will be given. No, they will be given. Apart from my guidance to you and an appeal, don't go to the media. Media will not give you money. These guys will not give you money. If you have an issue, because sometimes we may have a lapse. And this is, I think, a clear call for me now to the Federation. Don't always wait for me. Please come to our office.
So those are the stories that we expect to make the cut in our 1930 menus tonight. We did have a story from the Minister of Justice and also NOCZ, who have withdrawn a contingent from participating in the beach games, and also the story of the sports minister talking about making sure that all sports disciplines are given equal attention. Now, let's move on to the next segment, which is the Forgotten Stories segment. Now, on this particular segment, we give you stories that happened some years back, just to refresh your memories and see what used to happen then and what is happening now. So, before we get into those stories, let's take a short break. Welcome back. We are now looking at the forgotten stories, stories that happened some years ago, just to give you, to refresh your minds and give you a picture of where we are at now. Now, in 2020, on this day, government expressed concern over the rising cases of cyberbullying and warned the perpetrators. Let's have a look at this.
Chairperson for the Caucus for Women, parliamentarian Professor Kanduluo, says there is need to have laws that will deal with cyberbullying against women in Zambia. She says people should not be insulted in the name of freedom of speech, as people need to know where the rights end. Speaking at a media briefing held in Lusaka on the 22nd of June 2020, Professor Kanduluo says the Caucus for the Women parliamentarian will sponsor during the coming sitting of Parliament a private member notion that will protect women from cyberbullying.
These young people that are insulting women, it doesn't matter which woman they are insulting, they are actually insulting their own mothers. So where is the family fabric? Where has it gone? And some of the critical people that are part of the putting together the social fabric of any nation are not only parents but also the churches.
Speaking at the same briefing, Chief Government Spokesperson and also Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services, Honorable Dora Cilia, says she is concerned that cyberbullying of women has continued, as some women are being accused of being involved in prostitution activities without evidence. A similar case is that of Zambia's famous photographer Chela Tukuta, who has been charged with criminal libel. The photographer is also believed to have accused the Minister of Information, Dora Cilia, of being involved in prostitution activities.
As government, we want to make it very clear that the right of expression is captured in the Constitution, and that right is also guided by other laws, including defamation and libel. And obviously, even on a personal level, at a family level, we expect a responsibility. This also extends to the right of the press, that while the media has the right to publish, they must also publish what is factual. They have to publish within the national laws.
Constance Mwemba, reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Now, moving on to 2021, in 2021, Zambia lost the first female justice, Irene Mambilima, who died on the 20th of June 2021 in Egypt, in an Egyptian hospital after being taken ill while on official duty. Now, various stakeholders expressed shock at her death, and NGOCC utilized Justice Mambilima.
The death of Justice Mambilima has without doubt yet again robbed the nation of a talented woman who contributed heavily to the country's legal jurisprudence. As a lawyer, Ms. Mambilima acquitted herself through her distinguished service to the nation, which saw her rise to the apex of the legal profession. Justice Mambilima had over the years been a mentor and an inspiration to a lot of young women and through her distinguished leadership, she was an icon of transformative leadership, of integrity. As we mourn this great woman, we urge other leaders in general and young women in particular to emulate this illustrious woman whose selflessness and determination was there for all to see. She proved in many ways that with focus and resilience, women can break through patriarchal barriers at all levels.
Now, on this day again in 2021, the Dr. Chimba Kambwili visited the funeral house of the former President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who passed on the 17th of June in 2021. Let's have a look at this.
It is not easy to unite an African country. The late President Kenneth David Kuchiza Kaunda managed to unite all the 73 tribes under one motto, one Zambia, one nation. During unique time, we didn't look at regions when voting. We all looked at the fact that there was an election in Zambia. Today, regionalism in voting, tribalism in voting has started showing its ugly face on the Zambian political scene. And this must be fought with the vigor that it deserves. Because if we are not careful, we can end up the Kenyan way, where tribalism is the order of the day when it comes to elections. Every Zambian in every corner must elect leaders based on their ability to perform, not based on the fact that this one comes from here. Today we are seeing statements of people saying we don't have to worry about campaigning in a particular area because the people from here will vote their own.
It's very gratifying that by the time Dr. Kaunda left power, the mission of decolonization of Africa was literally completed, except maybe one gray area, maybe North Africa. By the time he was leaving, Namibia was free, Zimbabwe was free, Mozambique was free, Angola was free, and we had broken the back of apartheid, that monster. By 1990, Mandela was out and apartheid was outlawed. What was remaining just was the elections of 1994. So, Dr. Kaunda had managed to accomplish his mission, especially the liberation struggle. And this is a challenge to us upcoming politicians. Up to now, no president in this country, no president has beaten the record of Kaunda. It's a challenge to us who want to be presidents, that within a period of less than 30 years, they won the most difficult war of liberation, heroically.
Well, that's about the stories from the Forgotten Stories basket for this afternoon. Stories that happened in 2020 and 2021. The first story, of course, we were talking about cyberbullying, while the other stories were talking about the passing on of Justice Irene Mambirima and, of course, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who passed on in 2021. And the people that were giving their messages as regards the deaths of those two gallant leaders of this beautiful nation. Now let's take a short break, and when we come back, we get into the interview segment. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You are still on the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV. And as we did indicate earlier, we were going to be talking to Mr. Bene Hajombwa, who is a member of the UPND campaign team. And as promised, Mr. Hajombwa is here with us this afternoon just to discuss issues surrounding the governance of this particular country and with the focus on the fight against corruption. Mr. Hajombwa, thank you very much for making it to Camnet. Welcome to this interview.
We're delighted to be here. Yeah. So first time to be here.
Oh yeah. No, welcome. Firstly, let's start with allegations that are going around that the fight against corruption by the UPND is a witch hunt.
No, it's not a witch hunt. It's, you know, it's a campaign promise, like you just introduced us. We were in President Hakainde Hichilema's campaign team. And when you go through our party manifesto, you realize that it's one of the major things that we campaigned on. That we understood that the country was looted, resources were wasted, and after we assumed office, one of the first things that we did was to ensure that we take this fight serious. There's nothing political about it. It's about anyone who has served in a public office. At least they must be ready to answer before the people of Zambia. Because when you are in that office, you are serving us, the and when we want you to answer, you must be ready. There's nothing like a witch hunt.
The school of thought that brings up that argument says this fight is targeted at your political opponents.
There's nothing. Look at this. It's them who are in office. We're just in office, I think we'll be turning 3 years in August. And you know, if you look at what the country had gone through, you will realize that the country lost huge sums of money in a short period of 7 years. And it is not targeted against anyone. It is targeted against those that were stealing. So if at all you've not stolen, why must you be worried? And to me, you know, we have to join hands. You know, every Zambian, including your colleagues from the media, you must join hands with politicians to ensure that if Vene is found wanting, report Vene. You know, this habit of, you know, keeping corruption. To President Hichilema is saying corruption took away the rights of a child to go to school for free. Today, through the monies that we are recovering, people are able to go to school for free. Look at a very good example, the Faith Musonda issue. The Faith Musonda issue, you know, to me, we took it upon ourselves to follow it up until, you know, the money went to bursaries. Imagine those students who benefited. Now, if we join hands and fight corruption, we ensure that people, you know, are able to go to school for free. The UPND's dream is to see free education up to university level, but resources could not allow. But through the fight against corruption, Faith Musonda's money taken to UNZA, more than 1,000 plus students benefited from that money. So if Faith Musonda, a common Zambian, because she was not near any political office, she amassed those colossal sums of money, what about those colleagues who were near powers to be? A few days ago, we saw ZAF, a chopper. Look at that. A few days ago, we saw Dex, you know, trying to get the houses, mansions from a person who was not on salary. And to me, you know, I breathe when I look at a Zambian saying, you know, the UPND is witch hunting. UPND is not witch hunting. You voted us into office to bring back what was stolen. And I want to make it very clear that whether in the UPND or in the PF or in the MMD where we're coming from or in UNIP, if anyone is found wanting, I have the evidence in UPND, I'll report them. Because corruption in the UPND, corruption in the PF is still the same name. So when we are saying let's fight corruption, we don't just mean we fight, the guys who left office. Of course, it's them with so many cases. But even the colleagues who are in office today, they know. I tell them to say, if I gather an evidence against you that you did this, I'll report you. We want to show to the public that we are not witch hunting anybody, but we want the people of Zambia to benefit.
The thought says this fight against corruption is, as I said earlier, a witch hunt. And you say that you are encouraging people to report, even those that are in office now, if they have evidence that they're what measures have been put in place to protect these whistleblowers?
You know, for the whistleblowers, I'm a whistleblower. I brought issues. I got one corruption a few days ago. I reported a Topstar deal because I feel that the deal, you know, was full of corruption.
Sure.
You know, to my eyes, I'm just talking about this case here because it's a case that is dear to my heart. Media houses are dear to my heart because to President Hichilema, they are a fourth estate in his governance team. Imagine we go and borrow money. We borrow money, you know, the single source, they do the deal, and then we get a smaller chunk ourselves, which is not fair. And my fight is government procedure on tendering was not forged. It means the single sourced Topstar to do a deal. After that, what happens today, media houses yourselves, you have to pay to Topstar for your own content. The question that must be asking now is, does Topstar pay BBC to be on, you know, on Topstar? The answer is no. Obviously, BBC does not care whether they are on Topstar or not. But now, why can't they also pay for the content that we produce as media houses? That's the fight that we have embarked on, so that our media houses can benefit from this deal. To me, it is corruption. So I'm a whistleblower, and what I want to see is justice, you know, for everybody. No wonder I'm saying we're not just reporting the politicians. Topstar is not a political party. Topstar is not PF. Topstar is a company that was, you know, brought in by the PF to do the migration deal on a single source base. Not that the bidding took place and then they chose, it was the best. In fact, to my eyes, it was the highest, right? It was the highest deal. A local television had given us a fair deal. We refused it. We went for that deal. Maybe we should assume that there are people who are in interest here. No wonder Vene is interested in ensuring that that deal, since the deal was done, at least things can be revisited, like a percentage. Zambians cannot have a 40% against their own deal. Let us have even, 65+%. Media houses that are on Topstar must be paid for their content. That's what I want. Because for you to produce a content, for you to get news, you need to put fuel in the car. Your reporters have to go in the field. So you pay that, you pay the reporters. If you are renting, you pay for the building. Again, you pay for the content. Then what are you doing? As a business person who comes from the business world, that deal was not a fair deal. No wonder I'm saying we need to protect the local people. That is the interest. And we shall do that ourselves.
You did mention in your opening remarks that you will take this fight by its horn. And you also did mention just now that you reported the Topstar deal, and you have noticed that there's quite a lot of money that was squandered in the 7 years, as you put it. Are there any other deals that you feel were not straight and you looking at possibilities of action?
I think so many deals were revisited by government. And you saw how much money we saved. The same contractor. That must show you that people did not have interest for this country. Okay, the contract was over. It should be. Is it 1.2 billion?
1.2 billion. Yeah.
We brought it to. Is it about 600 million US dollars?
Sure.
How much money have we saved? More than $400 million has been saved to the treasury. Now, when you look at, in my eyes, when you look at the eyes of the president, he's passionate about saving this country. The country, that is so wealthy. Today, the president is out of the country. And you guys are calling him a traveler, a what? He's lobbying for this country. The country has been suffocated with debt. Right? when you talk about corruption, we're connecting it to debt because people were borrowing, you know, and then when they borrow, they overprice a contract. When they overprice the contract, they get a bigger chunk of the money. Which money? Borrowed money. And since government is continuity, the UPND is responsible today. No wonder President Hichilema's trip, according to me, as a person, a student of business and economics, to France, it is an economic trip that will give us a breath of fresh air in this debt restructuring thing. Debt refinancing. The country is suffocated, budgeting on a small budget, taking the bigger chunk to, you know, to the creditors. What about that? So a situation where we sit down on the table. I trust my president. He's a good negotiator, negotiating the deals. When we are done with the deals, this will be the liberation of this country. You will see success in the country. You agree with me, and that one who is watching there, a layman who does not understand debt restructuring, debt refinancing. If your husband gets a loan from a bank, it means even the way you feed home will reduce. If you're eating chicken every day, then there will be, you know, veg and rumanda, because part of the money, you know, has to be paid to the bank. But if the loan is done, it means the whole money will come home and life will be normal. That's what the president wants. You remember that President Manawasa, you know, may his soul rest in peace, managed to write off the debt and the country was okay. So the participation of the currency, kwacha against the dollar now, in economic language, it has behaved very well. To us, you know, in the business sector, will tell you there are indications that the restructuring deal will go on very well.
Now, having said that, as we move on to other issues, how would you define, how would you describe the fight against corruption by the UPND administration this far?
Well, it is a fight that we keep on talking every day. And yeah, in my press briefing in the morning, I emphasized, I encouraged the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the police and everybody, you know, given the authority by the Constitution, not to side with anybody. We only have two people in this country that hold immunity. It's President Echech and Mr. Lungu. Only. The rest of us are not immune to any investigation. If Vene has done a deal which you feel, you know, it was not done in good faith, let us report Vene. This is how we are going to fight this corruption. To me, under the new Dawn government, we are doing so far so good. We are doing well because we are bringing back assets worth huge sums of money stolen from the people of Zambia back to the people. And at the end of the day, the people of Zambia will decide where the money should go. We have a lot of orphans. We've got a lot of orphans with good results that cannot afford to go to school. President Hichilema, when he speaks about education, you will see the passion in his eyes. The man loves a country that is educated. No wonder he's channeling a bigger chunk under the 2024 budget. We will not preempt it, in education, because he also wants to see more people educated, skills development. That's where money is going. CDF. You know, people are asking, where is he getting all these big monies to fund constituencies and EDC? Part and parcel of the fight against corruption has contributed to this, and huge sums of monies every day are being recovered. And look, if I'm found with millions of money, I must explain how I got that money. It's as simple as that. So if I fail to explain, then the state will seize. So failure to explain the 65 million US dollars by Faith Muswanda, where she got it, what business was she doing, state seized the money. Where did it go? To Business. But funny enough, opposition MPs again, forgetting that the money came from their team. They're saying a deposit is it. Funny enough, we still see people that are calling this fight as a witch hunt. To me, I want this fight to be treated as a national fight. Whether from the UPND, from the PF, let us come together and join hand and ensure that we fight corruption.
You have mentioned the issue of CDF, and that's what I would love us to look at now. How would you define the CDF implementation in the constituencies?
I'm passionate about CDF. I think if you followed me very well, I talk about CDF every day because as a person who campaigns for the president, it is a campaign message for me when I go back to the field. That we gave you this money, the money has built this. I think CDF, Constituency Development Fund, according to the president, it is an initiative to allow Zambians make their own decision where they're coming from. Decentralization. Because UPND's policy also, under our manifesto, we have got what we're calling a decentralization policy, allowing decisions to be made at grassroots level. The problems in Kanyama, Makoko, where I'm coming from, are not the same problems in Kabronga here. No. In Kanyama, we've got serious problems there. And here, maybe there are other problems, but they're different problems. We allow people from grassroots level to decide on what they want in their area. That's about CDF. Free education, Makoko has come with a lot of issues. Issues of what? Desks in schools, are a shortage today. There are not enough desks. What have we done? A percentage of CDF is on skills training. People are going to train for skills, Makoko. When we train you where you are coming from, if you're coming from Kanyama, where I'm coming from, the first priority is when you come back from the training, we want you to produce a desk in Kanyama. President has banned importation of desks from China. That's a plus. Nobody's talking about it. All we're saying is, no, HH is a dictator. Dictator for who? HH has banned importation of desks from China, meaning we've banned a channel or a chunk of crooks that eat on this transaction here. They're all banned. So what have we done now? We've allowed the people where they're coming from. In Lundazi, if you're coming from Lundazi, you must make a desk in Lundazi. In Luwingo, in Wengo, where I'm coming from, we do this work. Schools, contracts have been given to cooperatives to build schools in rural areas. I'll give you a very good example. I don't like giving examples where we're coming from. Opposition stronghold, Kanchibia. My elder brother, Sunday there, knows CDF. You've seen development that we've never seen in Kanchibia. Clinics being built in Kanchibia for the first time. A civic center, a mean civic center was built in Kanchibia. A grader was bought in Kanchibia. A mother in Kanchibia will not give birth on their way to the hospital for the first time in the history. This is about CDF. Money taking its work under the ground. Meaning, what is the whole idea all about? Taking away, like the president puts it, taking away money from the crooks in Lusaka. What he means is, imagine if the president gives me 100 kwacha to go and give that mother in Kanyama. By the time it will reach Kanyama, it will no longer be 100 kwacha. It will be maybe 10 kwacha, right? Because maybe just to pass through you, it goes, by the time it comes. So that thing was cut off. Priority is, if it's 28.3 million kwacha going to Rundazi, it must go the same way to Kanyama. At the same time, by the same minister, by the same president, despite of where you are coming from, Makokwa, whether the MP is PF, the MP is UPND, independent, the president is saying, let us bring this country together. Because if we bring this country together, then the country will be more united. So CDF is a game changer. And I keep on warning my colleagues in Parliament to take CDF very seriously. Because the president himself treats CDF as his campaign message. So if you're a parliamentarian and you know that in your constituency there is nothing so far you've done through CDF, then you must be ready to answer before the people of Zambia. And I want to take this opportunity also to call upon the Auditor General's Office and the Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the CDF for 2022. We want to know how 156 constituencies in this country utilize this money. Because we hear of stories, the money was stolen. On bursaries, they sent this number of students, but on paper it is this number of students. We don't want to speculate. We want a proper audit so that this audit will assist us in this year. If an audit is done on CDF, people will be scared to steal. People are free to steal because they think there is nothing, even if they steal. I am the MP, I am the CDF chairman, I am the councillor, but I want to push this agenda also to ask the Auditor General's office to audit CDF on a serious note. Because if money was approved, sent to your constituency account, how did you use it? It's taxpayers' money. How many cooperatives benefited? We've heard stories, where maybe I'm a councillor, I create 3-4 cooperatives, and they get the money for CDF. We want them to be audited. Those groups that got CDF, come here. Who are you? Let us know them, because some of them are ghost groups, but they got the money. So, all in all, my message is very simple. I am President Hichilema's campaign team member, and I understand what the man wants for this country, and we shall push this agenda until we succeed.
You speak so passionately about CDF. A few weeks ago, we did see the SG go around to inspect some of these projects that were being done by through CDF, and he expressed some concerns in some constituencies where there's nothing really to talk about as regards CDF. What would be your words to constituencies that are not moving at the pace at which you seemingly want them to be moving at?
When my Secretary General was going around, I think I want to say congratulations, Wo Batuka. What you did is what we're supposed to do, all of us, to check on projects, what is going on. Makukwa, the deliberate move that, my grandfather, Batuka Emenda, took, to me is a good move, because we're just hearing that people like Stephen do not want to use the CDF because they're still bitter of leaving office. But I think time for politicking, Makokwa, ended in 2021. And if members of parliament that do not want to use CDF, they're keeping CDF in their account so that the constituency must be blaming the government to say, no, government, you're not doing any good to your people. The president has given a directive. I don't want to see any child sitting down on the floor by the end of the year. What are you doing in your constituency yourself? The question is, don't you have money? Money has been released on time. Yes, we're the bottlenecks of CDF when we started, because the money was huge, and we wanted to ensure that it is done in a proper way. But today, constituencies have received money. What have they done for the first quarter? Media houses invite these MPs here. Ask them, money has been given to you. What have you done? Sundays, Chanda, have you ever heard him politics? He has got no time. What he wants to see is the people of Gachivia appreciating his works. And it's them to decide whether he must continue or not. But I want to make it very clear that those constituencies that want to sabotage the effort of the president, because President Hichilema is going for a second term. What about you there? So if the people will fish you out. So time to work is now. It's better we start working and we allow the people of Zambia to decide. So when it comes to CDF, I think CDF is something that media houses, I think in my conversation with the PS local government admin, PS Amaundo, I said, PS, do more of TV radio program on CDF. Let people know CDF. Let CDF be a talk of the day. Because projects are being done in constituencies. We're seeing them. Yeah, we saw that in Sibuyunji, is it Shwangandu? There were some hiccups. That must not be done anywhere. Zambia does not belong to President Hichilema. It does not belong to me or you. It belongs to the 20 million of all of us. And if you have a president for the first time in the history of this country, go back to your records. Even when you say, not boasting us on. That's the truth. We've never had the CDF on 28.3 million kwacha in this country. But we have it today. So take advantage. We've seen independent MPs buying graders to ensure that they do roads. What about you in your constituency? So these are the questions that my colleagues in Parliament today must be asking themselves. You know, it's better you don't talk in Parliament, but you're visible where you are. Number here in Parliament, Z. Constituency, Z. Then you must know that you are a single-term MP. And come 2026, the people of Zambia will elect us, all of us. The 2021 election is different from the 2026 election. I keep on mentioning this, even to my colleagues within UPND. I tell them to say, look, we have secured a second term for the boss because he's delivered himself. He's still delivering on the campaign promises. What about you in your constituencies? What are you doing? So if you don't do what people voted for you for to do in where you're coming from, count yourself gone. Whether from the UPND, whether from the PF, whether independent, because there are so many young people that are, you know, passionate to service the people where you are. So if you don't want to work, know that you just have 2 years to go. But as UPND ourselves, we continue serving the people of Zambia even after 2026.
A few weeks ago, we did hear the party instruct the youths to monitor CDF projects. Some sectors of society, however, feel that this is not right. You cannot tell party youths to be monitoring projects, CDF projects. This will breed cadarism.
When I think the people who were at the press briefing were Gilbert and Mwinde?
Yes, sure.
My youth readers did not mean a cadre must go and say, okay? If you realize that where you are coming from, CDF is not working, report. That's what they meant. So if I look at what is happening here, if I'm coming from Kanyama, where I'm coming from, born and bred in Chivolia Makoko, where we're born there, if I realize that there's nothing happening here, I must report. PS, local government, there's nothing happening here. Not that I must go there and say, hey, Shanta Mbomba. No, what they meant was, let us be alert. There are people that wants to sabotage the effort of this government. So let every youth be alert. Because for President Hichilema to deliver, it involves all of us, including you guys in the media. If you don't televise the projects that we are doing, the people will not know. So if you don't televise the good things that the president is doing, who will know? Nobody will know. So when we say report, don't go and frustrate. Just go and report to say, I've noticed that, you know, the whole year we've not seen any project here. So how do we go about it? That's what Mwinde and Jufaniso meant. Not that youths going to beat them. No. I think from the time we entered office, President Hichilema has been very clear, colleague. He said, no capitalism. And that is the route that all of us have taken. All you are seeing now are youth cooperatives. All you are seeing now are youth like me, who is a businessman, doing clean business. All you are seeing now are young people being given serious position to represent us. This is about the new Dawn government. So when you talk about cadreism here and there, you and me can attest to the fact that a common Zambian, when you go to city market where we come from, there's change there. When you go to intercity, there's change there. You can dress on any attire, nobody will beat you. For the first time in the 7 years, things that you and me never saw. I was a victim. I was brutalized for only having a key holder for the president, passing through Lumumba. My car was broken. So all these things are not happening now. We are seeing people dressed in a PF t-shirt, nobody will beat them. The president saying, Vene, this is the Zambia that we all wanted. A Zambia where, there's no Kamugode anymore. In Chibodia, where we come from, there was a place they were calling Kamugode. Markets here are taken there. If they are seen in any lady attire, they will be beaten, they're brutalized. But today, no Kamugode anywhere. No branches anywhere in the market. Mobilize, but don't collect money from anybody. A marketeer who had a capital of 200 ordering bananas every day under PF, when they reach the market, the moment they sell, a cadre will come and get money for toll gate. They used to call it toll gate. We never saw any toll fees there whatsoever it was called. But toll gate was collected. Today the same marketeer with the same capital is going to the same market and selling, getting the whole capital, taking it back home. Again, that same marketeer again, who had children who were not going to school because she could not afford to take them to school. The children are going to school for free. So all these things are brought in, sponsored by the European government, under taxpayers' money. So when you talk about all these things, they're saying, no, yeah, we had peace in the past. Peace was not there. I'm on an interview like this, outside they are waiting for me. Because I mentioned Mr. It's no longer there. Emmanuel Mwamba can come here, talk about HH, criticize, no one will follow Emmanuel Mwamba unless you commit a crime. And the president has also emphasized, unlike what they used to do when they take you on, they will take you on, they will send you to prison. But today, we are seeing police bonds every day. They pick you today, tomorrow you are out, rule of law. So all these things that the president has brought, people from the opposition are not coming to tell you this. But it's unfortunate. They'll come and say, you know, HH is traveling too much. HH, through his travels, what have you seen? Investor confidence. People are coming in the country to invest. We've seen the improvement of the dollar, you know, again, I mean, the kwacha today against the dollar. It's because he is traveling. The man has never taken any honeymoon. The man has never gone to bed because he understands he inherited a country that was damaged, and he wants to ensure that during his 10 years, me as a campaigner, I'm calling it 10 years. During his tenure of 10 years of office, he's saying he will not seek for a third term like the way somebody did. He will ensure that whatever he's supposed to do must be done within his tenure of office.
The issue of democracy and people being free, how do you think that, because there are some sectors of society that are saying that the UPND is arresting people arbitrarily, do you feel that this is denting the image of the country's democracy? Because Zambia has always been looked at as a beacon of peace in this region.
Makoko, when you have stolen, you've stolen. Yes, when you've stolen, you have stolen. You know, at times it was called a tribal. What is it? A tribal what? It's a tribal which hand?
Yes.
But look, when you were appointing people, you don't look at it. You appointed people from a certain region only. You didn't appoint people from across the board. So how tribal is it? Why must I be called to answer for, you know, when I was never in government myself? That's the first question that we must be asking here. I was never in government. I was not given an opportunity to serve in government, even at director level. Right? But somebody was given. But now, when they are called to answer on how you procured the fire tenders, on how you procured these drugs, on how you supplied the expired drugs to people of Zambia, on why you banned City Market, you know, they're following us. It is not fair, number one. And the politics of following ended a long time ago. Katele Kalumba, who was minister during President Chiluba's regime, was just arrested recently in this government. There are three presidents that passed here. That is the law of law. That is how the law operates. So why I've not heard anyone speak that no, Katele Kalumba was a witch hunt. Nobody is saying that. But Katele Kalumba now he must be in jail for the crimes he committed when we were young boys ourselves. Rule of law. So UPND came up with a fast-track court. I'm sure you're aware of that. That's part and parcel if you've read our manifesto. In the UPND manifesto, people have not taken time to read our manifesto. Whatever is happening is in the party manifesto. So when you are sent to that court, issues of corruption, I think the president has given an ultimatum. let them be exhausted within a period of 90 days. So that if you are innocent, go home, really. If you are not, go where you belong. When people are calling it a witch hunt, it's because they are scared. I think you remember that S.G. Davis Mwila, before they left office, he said, Imenga 12 mavi, wakatukaka. How would you kaka somebody who was not stolen? I think if you add all these things, you realize that these people, they knew what they were doing. Davis, I call him a prophet because he prophesied that they will be kakad. Now, how many people were in PIF? A lot of people. Why are we not seeing other people being summoned? Lafio Nakachinda was minister. We've not summoned Lafio Nakachinda for any crime, apart from his mouth. That should tell you that he saved on a short period. Before he even got his salary, government changed. So he never had a chance to steal. But people who saved for a long time, who were buying choppers, we had a court case, I was watching it in Turkey, people were putting money in suitcases to Zambia. Then you want to say that it's not a witch hunt. Imagine that money. We bring it back here. It goes back to UNZA. We sponsor people there. CBU, CDF. The country will develop. So when we talk about corruption, to me, I talk about corruption, I talk about CDF, I talk about debt restructuring. To me, they are one thing. Because you go and borrow money from China, and then you bring it in the country. You say you've got a company, we're giving you this contract. The contract, it's meant to say, this contract is worth 1.2 billion. So my cut is this amount of money. If you think these guys were borrowing and then they put money in their pocket, no, they were very smart. They used the procurement system to steal. What has UPND done, Makokwa? We've brought in what is called a market price index. If you want to supply to government today, in PF, that pen that you're holding on your hand, you are told to supply 10,000 of those pens. One pen at 100 kwacha. Just one pen. How much do you have? A few days ago, I was watching somebody who was saying they supplied uniforms at the police. One uniform at 10,000 kwacha. I mean, do you want us to pay you that money? No, nobody will pay you that money. One uniform at 10,000 kwacha. They supplied 10,000 uniforms. We owe them a 10 million kwacha. Whose government to give you that money? They were crying, they wanted their money. That was corruption. The UPND government has regulated the procurement system. If anything, the president must have a special advisor for procurement only. Because procurement is where people steal. Procurement is where they told us that one fire tender was going at $1 million US. Through procurement. And when you go back to the books, the whole procedure was followed. But they did their cards very well. So people do not steal. You borrow money, they go to the Bank of Zambia and steal. They steal through procurement, through contracts. So they award themselves contracts. I gave an example of Star Times, Topstar deal, which is, to me, is a theft case. Corruption is thinking there. Single source. Movie TV came in and said, we'll do it at this price. They said, no, let's stop Star. Mount Choice also are given its cheaper price. Why did we refuse a cheaper bid? We went for a higher bid because somebody there was interested in the bigger chunk. So people were stealing through the procurement system. UPND has said we're going to lock all the doors where they used to steal from. If you want to supply to government, government knows the market price of that pen. If this pen on the market is 2 kwacha, then to government you can only sell it at 2 kwacha 50 ngwe or less. Because we need to save a bigger chunk of the money to go to the hospitals. So all these things are things that people do not know. They are saying, you know, why is it that you are not arresting PF? You are saying that they were stealing. They were stealing legally. I want to call it. How do you purchase one fire tender at $1 million US? They did the procurement system. They followed the procurement procedure. You know, 1, 2, 3 quotations. You bid at this, you bid at this, you bid at this. Then they evaluate, they say, this one is the best bid. In fact, this one is the lowest bidder. All those companies belong to one person. And they give you a contract. When you know that you're not going to buy that fire tender, even more than a $500 million. Less than that. But all these things have been happening. And when you go to court, you realize that, of course, cases that government had authority to reverse Makokwa have been reversed, and you've seen the benefit. One example of the Ndola Osaka Due Carriageway, that PF was telling us that that load is costing us over $1 billion. Today, we've saved more than $400 million.
I know that we can go on and on, but maybe as we come to the end, in your concluding remarks, there are two issues that I want you to touch on. Firstly, we have seen that the opposition political parties are coming together, possibilities of an alliance. What do you make of that particular alliance? And also, we did hear Dr. Banda say that the UPND, Dr. Banda, former UPND Vice President Ganeshas, say that the UPND has neglected its members that helped in campaigning. You were in the campaign team. The members that helped in campaigning for the party.
Well, Dr. Ganeshas Banda, former Vice President with Dr. Geoffrey, all the doctors, Dr. Geoffrey, Dr. Chimagamwili, Dr. But I think UPND has not neglected anybody. UPND has just removed the laissez-faire attitude in the young people. UPND does not want you, Makokwa, because you supported UPND, then you must be given money. Do something. No wonder money has been sent to where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. Are you telling me that there's a person in this country who does not belong to any constituency? All of us, we belong to constituencies. So let us do, if you want to get money, let us get money in a correct form. I know Dr. Banda, has the mentality of the PF where he went, where, they will just get money anyhow. In the UPN, there's no free money. I think they call us, Chipancha Kaso. Because I think for you, HH believes for you to get something, you must have worked for it. I want to share something on a later moment that you don't know. The first press briefing that the president had at State House, the culture that the Patriotic Front left was everybody who attends a briefing at State House must be given something. When the president saw that, he said, take back that money. Mm-hmm. Why are you giving people money? Eh? What have they done? They are not working. No, the culture here, the culture where? The new culture now is, for you to get that money, you must have done something. You must have just coming here, you want to get money. Then you must not be coming here. Saving taxpayers' money. So for them, it was about when you meet one of the Boaliamo, one of the Ichipani, they would call it the party and this government. That's how they used to call it. UPND has not neglected anyone. UPND wants us, the young people, to take part in this government. That's what UPND wants. No, what about those who never went to schools? A percentage of CDF is there for skills development. Go. Get a skill. Get a contract. In your own money, legally. A marketeer who says, Mama Cooperative in Sinvifuna, booster loans are going in through CEC. You've seen that we are catering everybody. Grade 12's recruitments are done. Teachers, nurses are given jobs without knowing anybody. We saw how people were crying in Polo Council that they never knew anyone. They were surprised how they were picked on merit. Today we are seeing the recruitments at ZAF and ETC, Army, and I hear some people saying, no, you left my child, you left my child. Did your child apply? No. You want them to go behind door. That's not about UPND. UPND is about you being Zambian and getting the same opportunity that I can get myself. There is nothing like, we watch pani, or we watch pani. The other issue you talked about in my conclusion of the opposition, coming together, I call them a group of jokers. Because up to now, I keep on mentioning that we are desperate to have an opposition in this country. That would talk about, would check our manifesto and say, you didn't do this, you know? But we have a bunch of leaders, and when you look at them, they're ex-PF members, all of them. They all want to become president, grouped in different political parties. When you hear their language, that's the language that made us win, because they were insulting. They insulted HH. HH, that's the language they're using. KBF also, HH, and HH won because people said, want to see him like that. So the grouping of what we are seeing now is not even shaking us, because the focus now is how do we ensure that in Shiwangandu, where Stephen is hiding the CDF, we must ensure that people get it. How do we ensure that in health post, every health post has all the medicine needed? How do we ensure that Makokwa, like the president has said, no mother must give birth on their way to the hospital? How do we ensure that we have a maternity wing at every place, every health post in the country? That is the focus. The coming together of Shalakateka, who does not even have any youth, any member. Savoy, a frustrated UPAD member, was not adopted. Interviewer defected. KBF that we left because he wanted a job. He knows what he did. We must not come on the media to bring out what KBF did. You know, why was he left? No, he knows. No wonder he was left. You know, his friends were given jobs. He knows his crooked behavior. But all in all, the group that is coming up as an opposition, to me, is a group of comedians on air.
Mr. Hajomba, I would like to thank you very much for making an appearance on the Lunchtime Cafe.
Thank you, Makoko. Thank you so much.
This has been the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV. We were featuring Bene Hajomba, a member of the UPND campaign team, talking to us about various issues that are happening in the country. On that note, we come to the end of today's program. Don't forget to join us again on Monday as we bring to you another exciting program. On behalf of the entire production team, have a blessed afternoon.